um, upset. So we are live, Mikey, on Facebook. I'll be a couple of minutes late, but that's okay because
it's okay.
One day will be known as the late Michael Knight in New York, Vinnie. So which is practice.
We certainly will, and they'll remember us fondly, and they'll be sorry, and then they'll be sorry.
Yeah, someone's going to be sorry. I don't know who it is. I don't know why it is, but someone, someday, some way, will be sorry.
I'll be sorry if you're too busy to be sorry. I'll be sorry for a little while. Then you can be sorry later.
We could be sorry for you. I mean, that's another service that this country desperately needs, is people to be sorry for people who are too busy to be sorry doing something else.
Please be sorry if you have a moment today. Be sorry about something that you can be sorry about. And if you are sorry, genuinely sorry, a dancing sandwich is in your future.
Yes, we have the dancing sandwiches. And matter of fact, I believe, Mikey, we on the old radio show.
What do you call that?
Yeah, that has a dancing sandwich. What is that?
This is the microphone. Here's a microphone.
Oh.
Here's a microphone holder.
Well, it looks like
let the holder grip the. Oh, it looks like a pipe.
It looks like it. Yeah, it looks like America's largest, or it looks like a bong you would find in a radio station that was trying to hide a bong.
What I noticed in the market was that there were hash pipes, but there were no huge hash pipes. And I'm asking why isn't there a huge hash pipe that looks like a microphone holder? In fact, we'll call it the Sennheiser hash pipe.
Yes, and you can hide your stuff in the McMartin stash.
And what do you get at the end of the day? A dancing sandwich, I'm telling you, a dancing sandwich. Which brings to mind our opportunity to remind you of the three pronunciations of sandwich. There is the conventional one, sandwich, the most conventional one, sandwich,
yes,
and the least conventional, sandwich.
Well, I think there's a fourth one that I think you may have glossed over.
Well, please fill me in.
Sandwich.
Oh, I did sandwich. That was number 2.
Oh, was that number 2? Okay.
Yeah. Sandwich. I think you've left out sandwich. No, sandwich was my second one. You can't talk about sandwiches unless you're talking about sandwiches.
You know, one of these days I got to stop listening to the show. I hear it's
You're gonna love it. You'll be sorry.
What number listener can I be? Can I be listener number 1598?
Oh, you know, once to be awful, I said that we would take caller 973 at the Rocker. And because we said it, we had to do it. So I am the one that went into the other room and went through all the phones. And I was answering, you're number 325. Then quickly, you're number 417. You are what I say you are. Anyway, we got to 973 and we had a winner. And we would determine that we would never do that again.
Yeah, I think I tried that once at Cairo for something, which is 710. I think we do call number 710. And it was a disaster. My producer came in the room and threw something at me.
We're still only at 316.
Well, you know, producers.
And your show's been over for 20 minutes.
Producers many times don't get that you can just go, you know, you're 425, you're 429, you're 522, you're 628, you're 708, 700, 701, 702, 703, 704, 710.
Now, wasn't that easy? There you go.
If I have to teach you how to defraud the audience.
Of course, what happens is the people calling in are on speed dial, and many times they're being talked to several times, so they know that it just went up 100.
Yeah, I used to have tons of people that would just. You don't have the radio contest now, really. I think. I mean, I don't know. I don't listen to that much radio anymore, but I don't think that they do much of the caller number 25 or something like that, or. I think it's almost all done now to drive traffic to a website or to an app or to something like that. Go on our app and,
Bill it in. Good luck to you. If we have one, we won't ever mention it.
Meanwhile, the promotion director's cousin has already got the prize.
And it's a nice couch, a nice new couch.
A brand new Castro convertible, whose tops in the convertible line. Castro convertibles.
But it asks a question and answers a question in a jingle. Who's tops? And then they answer.
The idea of the jingle, Mike. Ask and answer.
Wait a minute. What's the idea of the jingle?
Asked and answered. Whose tops in the convertible line as Castro convertibles.
Asshole convertibles. There you go. And enjoy your beautiful day. Enjoy your couch, why don't you?
Let's start this all over again.
Okay. Good morning, Vinnie in Seattle, Washington. How are you today?
All right, Michael. Good morning down here in beautiful Los Angeles, the Pasadena section of Los Angeles.
We're gonna have
a city of its own, but how is life in Pasadena this morning?
I'll give you the weather we're going to enjoy today. It's going to be a high of 87 today, and it's already 75 degrees outside. It's a beautiful sunny morning.
There you go. We broke 70 here yesterday.
You broke it? Now who's going to fix it?
We're trying to find somebody in Ballard. You know, the temperature fixes aren't around like they used to be. You know, in the old days, back in the 40s, you had Sven, you had Indy, you had Klaus, and all these people would fix a temperature for you. But nowadays,
no, if you want, and can you fix it to the right temperature? I mean, we can fix it. It's never going to be 70 again. I'll tell you that, said Sven.
They've all
Sven gave it to Lon gave it to Ban gave it to Hoon. So hello there.
Well,
hello to all of you. My favorite joke about the Scandinavian beginnings of Seattle was that on the 4th of July, the Norwegians light the firecrackers and throw them across the street, where the Swedes pick them up, light them, and throw them back. Apparently, it's something they do in the People's Republic of Ballard.
Yeah, they used to. Well, you know, it was sad. I don't know if you heard about Sven, but he died from a tragic accident. I don't know if you ever heard about this. He was driving along.
What happened?
A street in Ballard, over that, the big main street there, and he wanted to make a kind of a turn down one of the streets into the industrial area, and some woman was walking with her baby carriage, and Sven's seatbelt was hanging out the side door.
Hold on here.
Dragging along the ground, and the woman rolled the baby carriage onto the seatbelt. The seatbelt pulled out of the car, pulled Sven right out of the car. He fell down on the ground and hit his head. This car is still actually going. There's probably 3 guys chasing it still up Leary Way or something like that.
And this actually happened?
No.
No.
But it's kind of a update on the old joke about how do you tell if somebody's from Ballard? The seatbelt is hanging out of their.
I forgot.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, when we got here, Ballard was still a predominantly Nordic neighborhood.
Yeah, it was a Nordic town,
and it has changed so much now. I mean,
California Scientologists have now taken over.
Not the Scientologists, actually what would you call them? The high-techologists have taken over. They've replaced many of those beautiful old houses with condos that are, 5, 8, 10 stories tall, and all look the same, horrible.
And they dress as if they inherited Steve Jobs' wardrobe.
They dress as if they inherited my wardrobe at 5.
Shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah. Well, no. Corduroy pants and flannel shirts, or cross short sleeves, a la Andy Sipowicz.
Oh, I got you.
It's style does not seem to be on a lot of these people's agenda. But to be fair, style has never really been on the agenda in Seattle.
You got that right. I remember seeing men walking down the street in suits, refusing to wear an umbrella. just getting their suits soaked. I couldn't fathom what was going on downtown, except that there's a certain Seattle stubbornness against using umbrellas. They'll name a bumbershoot festival after an umbrella.
Yeah,
but they will not, in actuality, use one in a rainy climate.
You're less than a man if you use an umbrella.
Yep,
seems to be the conventional thinking, and I know that when I first got here, and actually probably a year or two after I was here, and I was unfortunately thrust back into the dating scene through no fault of my own.
But thrust all the same.
But thrust all the same. But the one remark that I got from most of the women that I went out with was that I like you because you don't dress like these people here.
Wow.
You know,
what were you wearing that was so revolutionary?
Well, I dressed like I was from New York. I mean, I wore a nice, solid colored shirt, black pants or dark pants. I always tend to wear dark colors, or, you know, really nice. I mean, I've been a clothes hound all my life. I really love to buy nice clothes. And for big guys like me, sometimes that's a problem.
You got to know where you're going.
You got to know where to go. And there used to be this place over in Bellevue called Kaufman's, big and tall.
Kaufman.
And
now a lot of people in Washington call it Kaufman, don't they?
Yeah, Kaufman. But you know, if you're from back east, you call it Kaufman.
Kaufman. I love that pronunciation, and thank you for bringing it back.
You're welcome. And at Kaufman, you know, the guy who owned the store was from New York.
Aha.
And he would import things that he bought in New York. That were, you know, because, you know, up until this place, you know, you would go to a place like Rochester and everything would be either brown or, I mean, I can't tell you the number of brown suits I owned in my life when I had to own a suit. And now this guy is talking to and convincing designers like Hugo Boss and some of these other designers to make larger clothes that fit bigger people. So now I'm getting things like velvet blazers, black velvet blazers.
I remember that blazer of yours.
And a leather jacket that was kind of looked like a blazer. Stuff you just didn't see out here on any size guy. And I, you know, time and time again, I would have people tell me, man, you just, I love the way you dress. And actually, I wound up doing commercials for Kaufman's.
Well, I don't remember that. Good job.
Yeah, I wound up going over there, you know, so many times that I talked to the manager of the store, say, hey, you know, and they knew I did a show, and they went over there and they used me for their spots. And I even think I did a couple of print ads for them too.
Excellent. Well,
and
I'd say Mr. Kaufman is a studiously interesting fellow. He's not there anymore?
No, they're long gone. Yeah, they went out. Well, while I was gone, they went out, but it wasn't too long after I left to go back to Pittsburgh. So I'd say they probably went out in about 2010, 2011, something like that. And they had another store in Denver, and that went out as well. So I think they just saw the handwriting on the wall with Rochester and DXL.
So were they too big for their britches, do you think? That's a joke.
No, I thought that they filled a very nice niche in big and tall clothing. They had quality brands. I mean, they had Cutter and Buck. They had, really nice stuff. And they had service. You know, when you went in there, it was like going into an old time men's store.
The guy, the measurement thing,
right?
Around.
The guy had the thing around him, and matter of fact, I always remember one of the guys, the manager of the store, Roger, the service was impeccable. They treated you like you were a king. And I remember that from when I was younger in New York, that we had a place called Joseph's that we used to go to for clothes. And the salespeople in Joseph's were the same way, dressed to the nines, always looking good, always smelled good, always whatever not here's what I think you should wear. What do you want to look like? What do you want? Do you want to rise in your pants? Do you want, how do you want your pants to fit you? Which is something that you just don't get these days. You know.
Plus, the person behind the counter doesn't know how to achieve it anyway.
Well, these DXL stores, and I'm not going to knock them because they definitely have a variety of stuff, and they've done part of the model, but they generally don't have the old time kind of not a haberdasher. But there's a certain word for the person that works in one of those stores, and it's escaping me right now, but there's just a certain type of service that they give to somebody. And it's why you go there and you pay $5 or $10 more for something than you would if you went to Macy's and bought it off the rack. Although, if you went to Nordstrom's, you would generally find somebody of that caliber that knew their merchandise, knew what would fit you best, would not be afraid to tell you if something looked ridiculous on you.
Right.
See, that's part of the thing, too, is, there are certain types of clothes that guys my size shouldn't be wearing. You can wear them. They can alter them. They can make them fit. But the reality is you look ridiculous in them.
A gentleman would not be wearing this.
Yeah, they're built for smaller people. They're built for your average 5'9", 160-pound insurance chart guy. And so the person in the store has to have the nerve to say to you, that doesn't look good on you.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I always appreciated about all the people that worked at Kaufman's, was that they had, if I tried something on and it didn't look good, they would say, hey, Vinnie, stay away from that one.
Yeah. And also sometimes they just have to ask the question, how do you think you look in this? And you think, I look great. And they go, okay, we have a rookie here. We're going to have to help this guy. And reminds me of G.K. Chesterton's character of Bertie Wooster, and let's see, his gentleman's name was, anyway, he wouldn't let Bertie wear colored clothes that he had gotten on the road when he was in Cannes. He simply took it out of the closet and hid it somewhere. Where is it? It's out being cleaned, sir. Yes. The gentleman will be wearing that over my dead body, sir.
Yeah. Well, there's some things that certain body types people don't look good in.
Right.
Let's face it. There's certain clothes that I can wear and certain clothes I can't wear. I could wear them, but
you look good in a tuxedo, though.
I tend to think I do. Yeah, I think that's probably as I should. I mean, you're married 3 times. You damn well want to look good in a tuxedo. It works better. And when I go to DXL now, I also go online and shop, and there's not that kind of service, because the independent big and tall store has pretty much gone by the wayside.
But online there are more choices. But
DXL is online. There's a few other ones that I get mail from. There are very few that are independent. There used to be, this was great. There's two places that I used to love to go in my travels. There was a Big and Tall outlet store.
Ooh.
On the road from Pittsburgh to Chicago.
Which road? What highway do you take to get to Pittsburgh?
I think it's 90, and off of 90, it's in Indiana. And this place was in a house.
Ooh.
And it was, probably about 2 miles off of, and they looked like they would just buy either Big and Tall stores that were going out of business or, just different stuff, because they had tons of stuff in this store. I mean, you could go, I don't think I ever spent under 2 hours in the store.
Wow.
Just going through and looking around. The only bad thing about the place is it wasn't the best organized place. Yeah, so you had to kind of go through, and there was another one in Pennsylvania, in the Poconos, oddly enough. But you got some screaming deals on stuff. I still have a bunch of stuff that I bought at both of those places, and really nice shirts. One of them was the only place I ever encountered that had Nast Big and Tall shirts.
NASD, yeah.
NASD, Nast, which is, that Charlie Sheen wore them in 2.5 Men, that it's that kind of, it looks like the mafia shirt. I mean, it's kind of your typical.
You can get a big one to fit a guy for 4.5 Men.
Right. But the designs that Nast would put on these shirts were spectacular. You know that shirt that I wear with the rips in it? That's in Nast. It's just they're just spectacular shirts. They're silk.
You can't bear to be rid of it. You have to keep it.
And for some reason, Nast stopped making Big and Tall shirts. They make a lot of musician shirts. I have a shirt from them that is kind of my concert shirt. When I go to a show, I wear it because it has these artist drawings of musicians on the shirt. And it's really, I get tons of compliments on the shirt when I wear it to a show. Because at some point, you stop going to shows in T-shirts.
Yes. Even though you are risking your wardrobe in a situation like that. Yeah.
Well, so anyway, so that's my little lesson on Big and Tall shopping. You can shop online. Amazon has quite a good selection. Most designer companies these days, because I don't know if you've noticed this, Michael, America has got fat.
I guess that was part of our dealing with the COVID.
Oh, no, way before COVID. Oh, no, COVID got nothing to do with it. It's part of our dealing of putting the McDonald's on every corner.
Oh.
That's the dealing of it.
Aren't we supposed to stop them when we see one? Oh, another McDonald's. Can we pull over? Oh, another one. I could eat.
Nothing better for the national health problem than stopping McDonald's. But the other side of that coin is you'd have a lot of people who wouldn't know where to eat.
So when they finally get off the couch, there's McDonald's bags all around them. They go load their gun and head for the nearest school. So it's just one thing after another.
There are theories out there. I don't ascribe to them, but there are theories out there that think that the ingredients in fast food have something to do with the mental instability of this country.
Because they grow them in peach tree dishes. That's why. Can you believe that woman?
Yeah, you know what? I do believe her.
I believe that in other words, it's worse than we thought. It's bad, but it's worse than we thought.
Well, when you would have a woman like that in a TV show, she would be the loon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Many TV shows, I'm sure if we called up Ken Levine and asked him about writing TV shows, he would know. He's written enough. There's always this character that's built into many shows that is for lack of a better word, the show idiot.
Yep.
They talk differently. They make lines up. They had, but again, I go back to the reaction that people had to Leo Gorcey in the East Side Kids, who used to mangle 90% of the words that he spoke.
He would understand what a Peachtree dish is.
Oh, matter of fact, he'd tell you where to go buy them.
I know where you can get a Peachtree dish.
Better yet, I know a guy that I can get them for you wholesale. But he was somebody that discombobulated the language on screen, and it led, and he was the most memorable character out of those, besides Hunts Hall, who played Satch, out of those comedies, he was probably the most memorable character.
You remember they gave him trouble because of the way he mangled the language. They did the same thing to Dizzy Dean when he did his radio broadcasts. He would use words inappropriately and incorrectly.
Yeah.
And people were picking up on his Dizzy isms. And he got a lot of criticism for that. And of course, he didn't know any better, as they say. He didn't know no better. And what today we might consider amusing colloquialisms were at that time thought to be giving people the wrong idea about how to speak their own language.
Well, there's been several people of public note that have maligned words, yours truly included.
Oh, we've all done it.
I have people who when I write a letter to them or speak to them on the phone or something like that, I mean, I've had one person say, "Boy, you're not as stupid as I thought you were."
Yeah, we thought you was an idiot.
Yeah, we thought you were some New York, nitwit. And then they realized that it's not that it's an act. I'm not going to say it's an act, but I don't go through my regular life when I go to the supermarket. Purposely trying to say things like that.
No, of course not.
I have a better command most days of the English language and my comprehension of words and meaning than I would hazard a guess to say, 50% of the United States.
But you get to speak a dialect, New York. What did that guy say? Well, we're gonna have to, I don't know what he said. We'll have to ask Vinnie.
But I did know growing up, there were many people I knew that mangled the language unbelievably. The biggest example of somebody that would do that was Casey Stengel.
Oh God, you laugh till you cry.
Yeah, you'd see an interview with him, and he'd be talking, and you'd be trying to follow him, and after two sentences, you were lost. You felt like you were in the middle of the forest with no direction home.
But Casey was fine; he understood.
But when you talk to Casey, from what people have told me, when you talk to Casey in his office, or when you went out to dinner with Casey, or if he knew you and knew he could trust you, his language was as good as anybody's, and his comprehension and his way to get his point across and his ideas across. But we now have a situation where we have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
She doesn't know any better.
She's just plumb stupid. There's no saying, well, this is a joke, or she's trying to, get a laugh or get a rib out of the audience. She truly believes this stuff. She truly, I think. I mean, I don't know the woman, but it just seems to me that she's just a couple of steps up from illiterate.
She's dumb as a mud fence, as they used to say. And the interesting thing is, she doesn't know she's dumb, so she flouts her ignorance with things like Peachtree Street and the idea that mispronouncing important words is of no consequence to her whatsoever. She shrugs her shoulder and moves on. What difference does it make whether I say it correctly or not? People know what I'm trying to say. People like me the way I am. people applaud my ignorance and my inability to speak my own language.
Well, Mikey, it's part of this revolution, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, but the shunning of educated people.
Yeah, they're to be avoided or executed if possible.
Right. When we were growing up, there was a value to an education. Nobody looked down at you. I mean, some people did. I'm not going to say nobody. Some people looked down at you because you had a college education, or you could go to school, or you spoke good English, or this or that. There were some people who looked down at you, but for the most part, it was a sign that you had achieved something, that you were better. I mean, it was the tangible proof in many ways that you were better than your parents, that they had achieved their goal of making you better than they were.
You're better off than when you started.
Right, which was the American dream. You know, we always talk about the American dream in terms of money, but I think the American dream was in a big part to have your children do better than you did.
Have a better life than you did.
Have a better life. To believe that their world was going to be better. But
and good luck with that, by the way, children of America.
Yes,
good luck with that.
But
you don't have dancing sandwiches. You don't have dancing sandwiches, and you think you live in a civilized world. No, you.
Right.
Damn sandwiches can't
certain
dance.
Core of people, Michael, who don't believe that, who believe that if you are removed, if you're better than your class of people that you grew up, if you aspire to be better, if you aspire to have more education, if you aspire to be softer, be more liberal than your peer group,
we're not having any of that, man.
Committing a terrible sin.
Yeah, that's not the kind of, we're not putting up with people who are well educated and show it. We're not putting up with people who are smart and are telling us that they're smarter than we are. We don't want anybody telling us the right answer. We'll come up with our own answer. Thank you. I think 6 sounds good enough. 6 is close enough, but the answer is 7. We like 6.
I never thought I would see a day in my life when people shunned educated people.
You know, remember Pol Pot?
Yeah.
He liked to kill everybody, but who did he always kill first?
Yeah,
the teachers, professors, scientists, educated. And anybody here teach 6th grade? Anybody here? Okay, you and you. Okay, good. The rest of you people are too stupid to know what I've just done. Good luck to you. See you around. I'm the new head man around here.
If you want to have a totalitarian government, if you want to have a dictatorship, mostly, now not all the time, and there are certain exceptions to the rule, but mostly you have to have people who are dumb and dumb enough that they don't care, as long as they get some food, as long as they get in a car to drive, as long as they get some gasoline, as long as they have some kind of self-value.
So they can watch the Housewives of Ashbury Park.
Right. Probably the biggest exception to that, that we're most familiar with is Cuba. Castro absolutely said that the way this thing that we want to do here will continue is that if we have an educated populace, because education will mean that they'll know that our side is better than everybody else.
It'll be obvious we're better.
But, you know, mixing that in with a lot of, if you open up your mouth, you're going to get killed, a rhetoric and that kind of stuff. Even to this day, going to Cuba, there's still the classrooms and the teachers are, the classrooms are all well equipped, well lit. The kids, all the school kids have to wear uniforms.
What exactly are they teaching, though?
English and Spanish and math and science and all of the things. Music is a very big part of the curriculum in Cuba.
Winners,
Everybody has to take music classes. Everybody has to take physical education. There's no note from your doctor saying to sit on the side.
That's why we have dancing sandwiches. All those people took music classes.
So, I mean, the rest of the country is sucks, but because of the oppression that they have to deal with and the poverty that they have to deal with.
Yeah, it's an interesting combination. Most authoritarian governments don't try to mix education and oppression at the same time, because how do you oppress someone who's been educated? You give them a full idea of what the world's really like, and then you oppress them on top of that, and it becomes obvious that you are the oppressor. Oppression doesn't just exist, but there has to be an oppressor, and that's you.
Right. And, it's always been an interesting trick for me on how they pulled that off, except to teach people that what they were doing, that the other people were bad and that the free enterprise system was bad. But that works if nobody has any communication with people outside of the country. But once these people had cousins and uncles and aunts and fathers and mothers that got to the United States and started to do good, because the Cubans are a very, very industrious people, all of a sudden, now they're getting the word back that, well, if you can get to America, you can open up a business and you can prosper, and the money doesn't go to the state. The money stays in your bank account.
And you can say what you want, freedom of speech.
Yeah. You can speak out. You have freedoms here that you don't have, and really nothing means more than freedom.
Now, for Marjorie Taylor Greene, see, she's got only part of the story. She's an oppressor, and she is a denier of the education, and she besmirches the idea of an educated populace. She's the idea of ignorance transforming people into what she is. Ignorance does not ever provide us with a well-educated populace. What an accident that was. She's totally ignorant, and yet somehow everyone around her is rather smart. It's just the opposite. She's totally ignorant. The people around her are ignorant. They're proud of their ignorance. They're militant about their ignorance, and they don't want you to be smart either. They want your ignorance to join theirs.
Well, to be smart when others are ignorant is power.
Isn't it, though?
I mean, it's probably, if you're the only guy with the flashlight and the sun doesn't come up, who's got the power?
Somebody go find Bernie. He's got the light.
Yep, Bernie's got the light. It's a big light, and he can lead us out of the darkness. So if she has that kind of power, the people who are less educated are going to flock toward her. I mean, I'll bet you, I haven't looked at her endorsement her endorsement sheets or anything like that. But I'm going to hazard a guess that there's not a lot of scholars, not a lot of professors.
Professor Emeritus from Swarthmore, no.
Not a lot of high-end people in the Georgia area that are backing her.
I wonder what sort of corporate support she does have, because she's a dangerous person to endorse.
I wouldn't touch her. If I were running a corporation, I wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. If I was looking for data, I wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. But
she's mean-spirited and ignorant, but also she's going to keep stepping in it no matter what she does. She can't help but get it wrong.
Well, she's like Trump. I mean, she really is a female version of Trump. She strikes a chord with people who don't care if she'll hurt them.
Yeah, we're with her. We're with her even if we get hurt.
Yes, you know what? It's we used to see it on a local level with the Fabulous Sports Babe. People used to call the babe up, and she would literally abuse them. And they would call back the next day and get abused again. And they would keep on getting abused because they found something in that abuse that made them happy.
It hurts so good when she stops.
It was a phenomenon. And it was a phenomenon we've seen time and time again in talk radio. The host abuses his audience, calls them idiots, calls them stupid, calls them nuts, tells them they don't know what they talk about. And you know what? They listen to see how bad you're going to abuse the next guy until you get back in the queue and get abused again.
Remember Morton Downey and Joe Pine? They did that. That's the way they ran their show.
Alan Burke, some of the people who laid down the foundation of these businesses, of this communications business as we know it, would call people dummies and idiots on the air and get them so excited they were shooting bullets through the front window of the studios.
Yeah, and they made it simpler. They simplified it. They said, you don't have to take on everybody that calls you and make them the enemy. Just pick one person like Joe Biden, make him the enemy, and he doesn't ever come to your show. So you can say anything you want about him. You can say it every day. He's got something new that he's done every day. You've got a new reaction to it every day, and your audience can be on your side. Your audience can be with you because they get to hate him too.
And they can cheer you as a hero instead of not being able to walk out of the studio without an armed guard. You'll actually make appearance money for going to speak at in conferences of people with 5,000 people sitting there. You walk out, you can spew your hate live in living color for thousands of dollars.
And when the steak truck comes to Wenatchee to sell that weird meat that they sell on the street corners there in small markets all over America, you get the money from that as well. And plus nobody hates you and you get a steak out of the deal. And I tell you what, it's going to be a substandard steak. This is going to be meat that shouldn't be sold on the street.
We'll get you a car because the dealer wants to see you driving his car. We're going to get you a house because the dealer that hates, because you have so many people cranked into you. Every time Marjorie Taylor Greene does something like that, that Peachtree dish, her coffers go up.
She's dumber than we thought.
Tribute money to her.
We knew she was dumb, but she's dumber than we thought. That's dumb.
People send her money so that she'll be there.
That's why we've got to get into the prayer cloth building and have our cloths made immediately.
I mean, we don't, online has created a mechanism, social media has created a mechanism, Michael, where we look at guys, educated people that know what they're talking about. Maybe they make mistakes sometimes, but they, on the whole, are educated, smart people and rely on facts and figures to lead us out of problems like Fauci, Dr. Fauci.
We don't want his problem is he's a doctor. If he was a nobody, we'd have listened to him.
And instead, they want Dr. Oz because he's a clown. Because he'll sit up there and he'll try to sell you something that's no good for you.
Herbal relief.
And and that's who they're going to put their faith in. They're not going to put their faith in Fauci because I don't trust his education.
He knows too much. Yeah, he knows. He's a doctor, but who knows what kind of doctor? Who knows if anybody really? I mean, what are we going to? Why would we believe a scientist? They use long words that make it confusing. They can't keep it simple, and they keep changing their mind.
Right. You get a guy like Oz, and he just has to look in the Bible and he finds his answer.
It's all there. It's all right there. Dancing sandwiches and lightning bolts. And don't forget Lot's wife.
Mary Magdalene's. Don't forget them.
And Lot's wife was ugly from the start. Nobody liked her.
Yeah, it's strange how the more information that we have and the more educated we have the opportunity to be, the worse it seems to get.
We first it was an applause for ignorance. Now it's a standing ovation for not knowing what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Standing ovation for the dancing sandwiches and ignorance.
But Michael, somewhere along the way, we stopped saying, well, I'm not really sure, or let me check.
I could be wrong, bud.
I could be wrong on this. No, now it's, this is what, this fact, whether you know it or not, you're out there telling people and it's the truth. And you've built up a credibility with them because you both hate the same things enormously.
And I'm a lawyer. Why wouldn't you trust me? Why?
Yeah.
Why? And I ride in the same car with Rudy Giuliani. So you gotta give me something. And also, I know the guy from My Pillow.
That clown. Oh my God.
He's still around. He's still with us.
He is he's a piece of work, man.
He's also not a professor.
I mean, here's a guy that was selling crack 5 years ago.
And it wasn't the best crack. I remember him well.
And
he couldn't rely on him couldn't rely on him for quality. Nor can you now if you want to buy a pillow.
He's America's hero. People look at him and they say, this guy is a true patriot.
He and Kyle Riggensdorf will be touring till the end of their days, playing in tents at county fairs.
Yeah, Kyle is a true patriot because he had the nerve to shoot some people.
Unarmed.
That's what the dumb people, that's what the Marjorie Taylor Greens celebrate.
Ignorance, violence, and more ignorance.
And there's something, Michael, that you could always count on. And I've seen it time and time again in life. You've seen it. We've all seen it. Is if you can't show me the proof, it's not true. And, the My Pillow guy is, running up and down, flying all over the place. I got the evidence. I got the evidence. I got it. I got the evidence. Well, where is it? I'm
going to show you this weekend. Come to my seminar.
Yeah. Sounds strangely familiar. Or strangely equivalent to, we're going to block Obamacare and we have a plan. It'll be out in 2 weeks.
2 weeks tops, and it's going to be some plan. It's going to be a beautiful plan, wonderful plan, and it does not include dancing sandwiches. They're free.
These right-wing idiots seem to love 2 weeks.
Because in 30 minutes they forgot what you promised them, but in 2 weeks it's another set of problems.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't get what the fascination is, and you hear it time and time again. Everything they're going to do, they do it in 2 weeks.
Funny thing about being a normal person, going to college, getting out of school, going to law school, getting your degree, and then throwing away your law practice and everything you learned and all the accumulated education that comes with getting a legal degree, and then just hang around with Rudy Giuliani and lie to the American people and lie to yourself and lie to Donald Trump. And the interesting thing, Vinnie, is they have to gather together in a room, and the top people are in on the lie. They're in on the goop. They're in on the scam. But the followers never ever figure it out. They never pick up the as Donovan would say, you got to pick up every stitch. Well, they never do. They never catch on. They never get smarter. They never get wise to the deal. They never get plugged in. They never become part of the scam. They remain on the edges, always a believer, always optimistic that this time we got him. This time we got him. This time we got him for sure.
And I got nothing. Trump's got nothing except a group of people that will follow him
right over the cliff,
a la Jim Jones. It'll follow him off a cliff. They'll follow him looking for the spaceship.
Oh, you just come up with
kind of Kool-Aid
Can they drink the Kool-Aid today? Can they all get together and just do it today? Because what is today? Today's Wednesday. It's a wacky Wednesday. Why don't they?
First today, isn't it?
Why don't we go for that? Why don't we go for the Kool-Aid? Well, today is Kool-Aid Day. I'll put it off till Friday so everyone gets the message. But I think they should, if they are going to follow him this way, and it's a blind adoration, let's get to the Kool-Aid.
Well, I'm a student of history, Michael.
It will repeat.
And I can tell you just by looking at the whole Trump thing and how it's gone over the past, how many years? What is it? 6, 7, 8 years.
Is
and
that
really
where we're headed?
Before that, when he was pushing the Obama, well, it goes back to the Central Park 7, the kids that were falsely accused, but yet Donald Trump decided to try him in the court of public opinion and put some money behind it.
I don't care if they weren't there. I don't care. I don't care if they weren't there, and I don't care if they didn't do it. They're guilty.
They're guilty. People forget. I mean, how could have you elected anybody after that? But they did. It's an incredible. I mean, it's a cult.
Yes,
it's a cult, and the way people come back, no matter what he does, they get pissed off. And the way Mitch McConnell, openly said this is a coup, this is a bad thing for this country, and 15 minutes later, he was saying, "Oh, good God, Trump is a hero. We got to get him. We got to take into account that he's under stress and this, that, and the other thing." It's a cult.
Well, and I applaud people who have lost everything to the point where they join a cult and have to wear a certain color every day of their life. What color do the Trumpists wear?
Red, white, and blue, Michael.
White and blue. Thank you. I knew the answer to that. I don't know why I asked my rhetorical question. Well, take your red, white, and blue and get to your Kool-Aid. And I don't care what flavor Kool-Aid. It was purple for Jim Jones, wasn't it? Wasn't it great?
And they'd have to come up with, they wouldn't do it in Kool-Aid, I think, Michael. I think they would do it in those red, white, and blue rocket pops.
Okay.
That you see in ice cream trucks all the time.
Yep.
Because they would have to feel patriotic
as they go down,
as they were doing it. So it would have to be, you would have to lace the pops with cyanide, and then you'd have to put them in trucks that look like ice cream trucks and just drive down the street in a Trump, or just stand outside a Trump rally.
Well, I was going to consult with Agatha Christie. She's the mistress of all things poisonous. All her poisonings were done by women, by the way. So be prepared to be for the flavored Kool-Aid, regardless of what color, red, white, and blue rocket pops, whatever the vehicle may be. Remember, it was put there by a woman to achieve what Agatha Christie calls the equality of murder, and that's really what we're after. Their murders extend to themselves. They're so in love with the cult of death and destruction that their own destruction sort of answers their prayers. What have I been waiting for all this time? Well, your own death, my dear. That's what you've been courting. You've given up your education. You've given up your position in life. You've given up believing the truth. You've given up all these things that are now behind you. There's only one thing left to do: become a lifetime member.
And it's, for the foreseeable future, I don't know how much better it's going to get. I don't know that people are going to all of a sudden turn around and say, boy, were we wrong, and education really counts.
No,
boy, were we wrong.
They'll die slowly, and it'll become less and less effective, but it'll be there for these people, it'll be a lifelong obsession.
Yeah, it's a shame that education, and listen, I'm not saying that education should be a delineating line, to separate whether you should be this or that, because there are people who have no education and are smarter than people with educations because they try to make themselves better. They read books, they go online and use the internet for what it was meant to be, an educational tool. They talk to people. They open up their minds and consider opinions other than their own.
But Vinnie, that is increasingly not the American way. That's right. That's sort of a European ideal of an educated person of the world. We don't want to be educated to the point where we know a lot about the world. We want to stumble into situations and just say, what's wrong with all these French people? Nobody speaks English. Yep. This is the glorification of the ugly American, and the glorification, as we've said so many times, of ignorance. You take what you don't know, you glorify it to the point where it sounds like you've really got the world by the tail, when in reality, you don't even know how the world works. You don't know why it spins. You don't know where it is. You don't know how it got here. You don't know who you are. You don't know where you're from. And you glory in that. You glory in your ignorance.
We want somebody else to do our thinking for us.
Why does it have to be so hard? Why do you have to learn things? It makes it harder.
It is easier for us to blame President Biden
He's not our real president. He's not our real president.
The gas prices than it is to go online and read some things and educate yourself as to what is really going on. It's easier to point a finger at this person, as we were talking about in Monday's show. It's easier to say, what about?
What about the oil companies? They're not gouging us. They're our corporate buddies.
Yeah, it's easier to say what about than it is to actually read and to understand, or at least to try to understand, to make an effort to understand what, when I was a kid, when you would ride the subway, and I didn't ride the subway a lot during rush hour, but the sociological thing in the subways was you would always see the blue collar people reading the Daily News or the Mirror, because it was one, you folded it like that, and it was a tabloid. It was easy to read. You could read it standing up.
Post too.
The Post, the Daily Mirror, the New York Times.
Harder to read. You had to do the subway fold.
And the Herald Tribune and the World Journal Tribune all had to be folded and held, and it was tough to read if you were on the subway. It took some effort. And the people that ran these newspapers knew that. And they acted accordingly. You could get rabble-rousing stuff from always from the Daily News, even before Murdoch took it over. And the Post was always known as a communist rag. That's what makes me laugh so hard about the Post these days, is that for years, my grandmother, my father wouldn't read it because it was a leftist communist rag.
And when the Daily News came out, you didn't have to read it. Everybody had the back section, so you could see the front page and the sports headlines at the same time, and the blazing headlines for which they were famous were being shown to the entire subway car. You didn't have to have that paper in your hand to know what the score was.
Well, you did if you wanted to know the whole story.
And now the rest of the story.
But if you just wanted to, if you were of the intelligence of, I read the headline, I don't have to buy the paper. Now I can go to work and, tell everybody what I know, which is nothing.
By the way, you can thank the Giants for beating the team that you hate, the Phillies, because that's just what they did. They beat them bad.
Boy, the Phillies are brutal, man. Philly fans are calling for the head of Joe Girardi.
And he says he's not worried.
Well, as we know, the manager always seems to be the first to get it. And
was he really that much of a manager? I mean, during his time with the Yankees, what was he really known for besides being a catcher?
I couldn't probably tell you a great move that he made. But again, I wasn't watching him every day. I think to know if somebody's a good manager or not, you have to really be watching that team, because it's hard. Some managers do a lot Some managers know when to make the right moves. Some managers, other managers, they just are lucky enough to be loaded with talent.
Most of the time, I complain. I hate managers that don't know when to take a pitcher out, but that's just me.
What he was able to do, I think, Girardi, is manage the egos of the talent he had on that team.
He's got plenty of that with the Phillies too.
And that's where a good manager comes in. Not so much, I mean, yeah, you got to have good field strategy and you have to know what you're doing, but you also have to know how to manage, especially on a team like the Yankees, where you got 15 guys that are making 10 times what you're making.
And it's always going to be that way.
Yeah. So you got to command their respect, and you have to be somebody who is able to keep them on your side. A good manager has a good guy in the clubhouse that can tell them what's going on without having to go in the clubhouse, make the appearance of leaving the people alone, but yet his clubhouse coach knows how to keep an ear on things.
Hey, you would know the answer to this question. If the team is getting lasagna for a post-game meal, and the manager doesn't like lasagna, does he get his own plate? Does he get his own service? Does he get his own?
Yeah. I know that. Well, I know that that Lou, that they have a chef that takes care of the clubhouse. And the chef will take special requests. So if there's somebody like I know Lou used to love corn dogs.
Isn't that funny?
Lou would, his post-game meal would be 4 or 5 corn dogs. And they had a great chef down there, Jeremy.
That's hilarious.
Who was a very good chef. Guy could cook, man. He could make some. I mean, you always seen players going home with plates, And but Lou was a corn dog guy, man.
That's hilarious.
And a steak guy. I always loved steaks.
Of course.
And so yeah, so I think the situation. I know in New York, I forget the guy's name, but the food in the clubhouse in New York is I don't know why anybody goes out to eat anywhere.
Nobody goes out there anymore. It's so crowded, no one goes there anymore.
The guy who cooks, if it's the same guy that used to cook at Yankee Stadium, who used to make, especially his Italian food. I mean, he made veal cutlet parmesan. He made baked ziti.
It was like going to Italy with Anthony Tucci, right?
Excuse me?
It was like going to Italy with Anthony Tucci.
Not quite like that. It was, it was a big spread, so I don't think he had time to do some of the things that Tucci, Stanley was able to do. But there was definitely, this guy knew how to cook Italian for a number of people. And the food was good. The sauce was homemade. You went to some other places and it was goop.
Yeah.
It ordered out for a restaurant that is, but a few of these places had chefs, that would take care of the players and the visiting players and everything. And listen, they made money. I mean, all of these players tipped these guys.
Sure they did.
And
so they should. They kept them in working order.
Yeah. And so they would have, and after a while they would know when somebody like the visiting clubbies knew to have corn dogs when Lou came in, because that's what he liked.
I wonder if Lou had a list of the best corn dogs in the world, where to get the best. I bet he did. I bet he still does.
Well, I don't know. He was sick, and I think they made him lay off for the corn dogs.
Yeah, poor Lou.
Well, you see the picture of him last night. I got to give Lou a call, man. I've been meaning to call him, and I just haven't. I've been meaning to call a million people. But yeah, most of these guys, I think, they definitely can get whatever they want, from wherever they want. I'm sure now with DoorDash and those types of things, somebody can make a request and They'll get it.
When we have Lou on the show, what we'll do is have a countdown to the best corn dogs in Seattle.
I don't know if I'll have to see. I have Jeremy's information. I'll give Jeremy a call, see what he used to use, which corn dogs Lou used to eat. I can't remember. But I know that Jeremy made a special stop for him.
You damn, you're
I remember that because there was a certain kind that he liked. And I think that he made a special trip for Lou's corn dogs.
Well, from big and tall to corn dog aficionados and to the peach tree dish that we all love to grow in, it's been quite a show, New York Vinnie.
Yes, at the risk of upsetting our audience, I will say that 2 minutes before this show, we had no idea what we were going to talk about today.
Well, there's cocktails and dancing sandwiches, which is something that America has fallen back on for many centuries.
Well, it inspires us. It's the dancing sandwiches, which were always available. They were called Stewart sandwiches, and you could go to any bar and buy one for 75 cents, corn dogs included. Ooh. Stick it in the light bulb oven. That was the best part. The light bulb oven was like the best part because it would invariably burn a corner of the sandwich, of the
packaging.
Wrapping.
Yes, the wrapping would be too much for the light bulb.
So it would smell like it was burning, and that's when you knew it was done. And so you went in, you pulled it out, you dropped it on the bar with a napkin, and
you got any? Yeah, you want some hot sauce for that? Because if you do, I hope you brought it with you.
Yeah, they were great. They had little mustard packets. I think actually eventually they got a bottle of ketchup and a bottle of mustard, but those Stewart sandwiches. And again, they were in every bar or most bars in New York that didn't have a kitchen.
And of course, everyone would say, why would anyone eat one of these sandwiches? Just say, after you've had a couple of drinks, just watch. Just watch. This guy's going for it. You know what? And then when the plastic smell starts to permeate the bar, as Stewart sandwiches start to be heated up by a 25-watt bulb, everyone wants in on the deal.
It tastes awful good when you're drunk.
Tastes fabulous. And you could get a White Castle, but no, this requires less walking and no planning.
Well, you didn't have to move off the bar stool.
You didn't have to go anywhere.
I mean, there was people in that bar, Mikey, that, when I left in 81, I went back for a visit in 82, and the same people were still sitting on the same bar stools.
That's the great thing about America. That's why you can't expect the patrons to dance, so the sandwiches have to dance.
Exactly. Well, Friday, Mikey?
Freaky Friday. I'll meet you right here, baby.
Let's pray for let's just pray for humanity, I guess. And I will see you Friday at the Lost Will in the Creek Don't Rise. Thank you all for listening to our show today. We're glad we could put it together for you, and we will see you Friday morning at 10:10. Until then, peace, a little extra love,
please,
and Manischewitz.
What a wine. See you Friday, Ben.
See you Friday, Mikey.